the mic. And I'm gonna make sure I've got this. Turn that up. So they should be able to hear us. Let's test it just for a second.
Yeah, see if Uncle Jerry hears.
Hey, Uncle Jerry, can you hear us? Can you turn on your mic a second and see if you can hear us okay? If you're there, or Joel, you don't have your mic on, so we just want to test. I think we're okay. Turn it on for a second. Let's see.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, loud and clear. Okay, we're ready. You turn that off and we're ready to go. Daniel.
All right. Well, 21st Ward, welcome to tonight's Tuesday night live. We're here at the church broadcasting live. I'm Jay Johnson from the Preparedness Committee. Rick Fox from the Preparedness Committee is behind the camera, keeping us the video rolling, the internet flowing, and he's keeping us in check. He'll smack us if we don't tell the truth, right? Absolutely. But we are honored to have Daniel Spencer with us tonight to talk about some items to consider in supplementation and items that you want to do. But we'll have him introduce himself a little bit, talk about himself, his family, how long he's been in the ward, where he works, and kind of his background, and then we'll get into all this good stuff he brought to show and share with us.
Of course. Hello, I'm Daniel Spencer. I've been here in the 21st Ward. We've moved in, I believe, August of 2018. Myself, my wife, Rebecca, who I go by Becky, and our children are Juliet, Lorelai, and Anastasia, all girls. Yeah, we've been delighted to take part in the Sunbeams for a couple of years now, and it's a good time.
That's a good time. Primary's good.
Yeah, the daughters love coming. They hand out the programs every morning on Sunday. They stand outside the doors. Personal or career life, I work at a contract manufacturing facility for vitamins, minerals, supplements, and probiotics. I've been doing this for about 5 years, and that's a lot of my background.
What's your degree in?
Yes, I have a degree from Weber State, a Bachelor of Science in Microbiology.
So what do you actually do?
I'm considered product development for the research and development department. When customers approach the company about getting a specific type of supplement or a specific claim, we do the innovation work to decide what would be best meet their goals for their costs, and then design that into a supplement that can actually either be tableted or encapsulated or become like a drink mix.
So are all these on the table come from the company you work for?
The one I work for actually does not currently do gummies. We're working on it.
Okay.
But specifically, I've personally worked on, I think, this set. And
He's moving some chess pieces here.
So these are specific ones that I actually personally worked on. So.
Yeah, you got checkmate.
There's more. Okay.
Oh, you really got me. No, that's fine. I'm down to my water bottle, guys.
No, it's been fun. It's over time you learn a little bit more about how to read the labels and what sort of hidden information is hidden between the lines. Because every industry is its own thing.
That's cool. That's cool. You've been part of so many products.
And like a lot of these also, like different people, not me, are working on within my company. And so I'm not specifically over these ones, but this is something that my company would make.
Cool.
And we would produce.
So things that we'll see on the shelf, like a grocery store, like the emergencies, those things. You guys do powders, pills, capsules, liquids, eyedroppers.
We don't do eyedroppers.
Okay, I've seen those droppers that you use that little dropper, put stuff on your tongue and whatnot. But,
specifically, we'll work on tablet capsules and powders where I work. We do have sister companies that will do other things like bars for nutrition. We do have a plant that will work on gummies, and there's a couple other groupings there like protein drinks and such. But
cool. it's a big industry, lots of stuff going on. That's cool. So, but maybe some of the things that would lead people to want to maybe supplement, do those things. I guess with our modern society that we live in, where, you know, we don't probably eat the best diets like we used to back in our, you know, back when my parents were alive. We've gotten lazier as maybe generations, and I'm not.
That's true.
I have, you know, and processed foods, fast foods, those things like that, we're probably not as nutrient rich as we probably once were as people, where we're more agrarian and, you know, grew, you know, agriculture based stuff. You know, possibly soils are not as quality as they were back in the day. And so some of the stuff that we get grown today might not be as nutrient rich as we were back, you know, decades ago. So what would you say, you know, if someone eats a really good diet, do they need a supplement? Or if they're hit and miss, what would you advise people to supplement with, and things like that are lacking in the average diet?
Yes. As far as nutrition and supplementation goes, I encourage everybody to think about their own personal needs, because it's going to vary from person to person. Like, you probably have a very different diet than I have.
You're probably
I'm nothing
healthy.
but Mountain Dew.
And yeah, I'm, you know, McDonald's occasionally,
Yeah.
you know, other fast food I should be eating, you know, lots of sodium.
I do feel that specifically, if you want to supplement, you're free to, but there's not a specific need for it unless there's some sort of a dietary or a medical or a regional need, like reason for it. So like in case of a medical need for it, some people can't eat normal meals, like they're geriatric type patients, in which case a supplement may be necessary to help them meet certain like nutritional requirement. In terms of like location wise, here in Utah, we don't have easy access to like fish products. So things like the DHA, the fatty acids from those, are great to supplement for us. It's not 100% necessary, but it'd be really nice.
So those are those little fish tablet krill oils and those things.
Those things that taste awful and give you a bad breath. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vitamin D is actually also another one that it's a little hard to synthesize here in Utah, just because of how far north we are geographically. We do get some, but it would be better to have more.
Okay. Yeah. So vitamin D, meaning that's coming from the sun,
Mhm.
with what we get just from being outdoors. So I guess I go on a little bit of a tangent here. So during winter months, where we see kind of the spike of illnesses and things where we're not outside like we were, so that, you know, being indoors out of the sun is probably a contributing force.
Yep.
So that might be one thing to consider in even summertime, if we're with our northern latitudes, to be able to make sure you've got a vitamin with vitamin D. Now D or D3?
So that there are two forms of D, and they're D2 and D3. One is ergocalciferol, and the other one's cholecalciferol. And I mean, generally one's more considered synthetic and the other one's natural. Cholecalciferol is the one that's considered more natural and is more easily for your body to absorb and use. So that's the preference. They both will do the job, but you need a lot more of one of them. And if you overdose on vitamin D, you can have negative health effects. It takes a while though.
Okay. A lot of it.
A lot of it over a long time.
And I've also heard people with your melanin in your skin that say, for example, if you're darker complected, that you would take a higher dose, you would need a higher dose, you know, naturally from the sun.
Mhm.
And so you'd want to supplement.
little.
And I've heard, you know, when COVID was going on, they talked about the African American community being affected oftentimes because they're outside, but the darker skin makes it harder to absorb vitamin D naturally. So it's been a good, you know, thing to supplement.
I'm not 100% positive on that one, but I could see where you're going there, and I could see that being a thing, but I would research it. But
So yeah,
I'm
research
not
it.
caught up on that one.
But anyways, so if we could talk about like vitamin C and some of the other popular ones that are multivitamins that we can share with the folks.
Absolutely. I do think that once I hit a certain age, I'm going to start taking a multivitamin more regularly, just on the grounds that your body is less adept at absorbing those nutrients and pulling it into you, and the same nutrients in the food that you eat, even if you're eating the same food between like 20 and 50, your body's not capable of pulling it out as easily. So supplementing with a daily vitamin is useful there. I do feel that a lot of daily vitamins tend to give you way too high of daily values. Like I'm in the 200s to 500% daily values on these.
Okay.
But it's still good to supplement a degree. In terms of, I think you mentioned immune health. I'm not aware of a vitamin that can prevent you from getting sick, but I do know that like vitamin C and zinc and D do have multiple trials that show that it can reduce the amount of time you're sick, specifically with like respiratory lower and upper symptoms. So that can help. That's
Yeah, I've heard the analogy that so if you were to use a gun as an analogy, that vitamin C would be considered like the gun, and zinc is the bullet, and what vitamin C facilitates zinc getting into the cells, and it bonds to, I want to say it's the ACE2. I've done a lot during COVID. I studied this a lot.
immune cycle is real complicated.
Yeah, and it would bond to the ACE2 receptor site in the cell, and zinc would act as almost like an offensive lineman, not allowing the RNA to bind at that point. And so it was like flooding that was kind of the strategy that people did supplementing. This was preventative, and it didn't always work, but it was just an effort to do that.
A lot of athletes will actually take regular amounts of zinc in like 1 to 2 gram doses a day, just to help, because when you're exercising regularly, your body wears down, you're more likely to get sick. And this oftentimes prevents that, or at least reduces the chance or the time frame, the duration of it. There we go.
Yeah.
But vitamin C usually acts as an antioxidant that'll help pull those free radicals out, allowing the zinc to bind to sites. So those are usually better efficacy-wise in tangent with each other if you use them together.
So the tandem's good, and then we put the trifecta together with vitamin D being just a thing that helps strengthen the immune system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's good. I know, and I've heard of people taking high dose vitamin C. Like if you start getting symptoms, people take a lot of doses. Vitamin C is water soluble, and it's one of those things that I know people can also be sensitive to in the stomach, and it can lead to diarrhea. Have you heard of the liposomal vitamin C?
I haven't. I'm assuming that's a fat soluble version.
Yeah, it's like one that I've heard, if you wanted to take a higher dosage of it, that you can, it won't upset your stomach. It's, I guess, allows it to get farther down in your digestive tract before it's really absorbed into the tract.
I can see that. Anything that is fat soluble, you do want to eat with a meal, because otherwise it has much less effectiveness. You want to make sure you're having that layer of fat in there so that it does get absorbed with it.
Good.
And so the vitamin C, if you can get you could bind it or coat it in something that would be fat soluble, and that would help it. So, yeah.
Good. This is great information. Rick, anything?
Yeah, I got a question about capsules.
Yes.
Which ones are best in terms of being absorbed by the body? The hard pack, what do you call those?
Just like a hard capsule.
Hard capsule, and then ones with like a veggie cap. Is there a difference? Does it make any difference?
So capsules, like the hard capsules. Tablets. No.
So that's just with the grains powdered to get pressed together, right?
Yeah. So like this type of a hard capsule. No, you're right.
But that's a capsule there.
That's a very big capsule. These capsules are actually, they are vegetarian. They're made from a HPMC, which is just like compressed tree that's been processed. It's totally natural. It's fine. Your body dissolves it and treats it just like fiber and kicks it out. There's also like gelatin type capsules, so those are fairly common still. There's those types, and there's also soft gel capsules, which tend to be made of a more easily.
So like those ones over there. Sort of.
Very similar to these ones. These ones have a fatty acid in it too.
Okay.
For the oil. Similar to those. Those ones are they're gonna both break down decently easily. Soft gels are actually really complicated to make. There's a huge process that goes into those. I wouldn't say one's
What
better
about
for
the
your health
hard
than the others.
ones? Not these, but the actual like some of those vitamins and supplements are actually hard. I mean, it's just, there's no capsule on it.
Like a
Yeah.
Tylenol tablet or
Oh,
something?
Yeah,
just like a
But-
coated
but-
tablet.
but-
What's that called?
Just a coated tablet.
Now, are they more difficult to absorb?
There's actually, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, a caplet. is also
A
named.
tablet.
So actually tablets are quite complicated because sometimes tablets, if they don't dissolve while they're inside your GI tract, you're just expelling them and they're worthless. And so sometimes looking on labels, labels might mention that they have a specific disintegration time. A lot of labels won't mention it because they don't deem it as important. But like what I work on developing on, we generally focus on like a 30 to 45-minute disintegration time. So it's hitting that upper intestinal tract and gets more easily absorbed.
Oh, yeah.
So to answer your question, sometimes there is a reason why you don't want it to dissolve immediately. Some tablets are like delayed release where it releases over 4 hours. And so you get just that little bit, it does a little bit of uptake continually for 4 hours. And so that generally is better, but not all tablets do that. Sometimes you're buying a tablet that's not going to dissolve, you end up just expelling it. And it's actually really hard to figure out which ones do that.
Really?
Smaller tablets are generally going to dissolve better than like the giant horse tablets, but it's not always. So it depends what they're made of.
So how much, those labels, how would you encounter a label? How would you engage it? What do you look for? What matters?
Hey,
Anything?
look at that bad boy right there.
Yeah.
Maybe get one of those to show the screen and then we can talk
Good
about
idea.
that.
Ooh.
What's important.
I
on
don't
there.
even like that already. You
Oh,
see
come
all
on, I like
that? Give
this
me a
one.
break.
This was the one my company makes.
I need my glasses here to be able to
Yeah,
magnify
font,
from micro. to
font one.
And actually, the font size is regulated. It actually can't be smaller than this.
Oh, so that's the smallest you get it.
Yep.
But you're fitting a lot of information on there.
Yeah, and like you'll see, actually, most things will actually have very similar font size. This one's actually a little bigger, but it comes out that way. In terms of so this is a multivitamin. I just with the sheer fact of how many different vitamins and minerals are present in it is why there's 4 capsules in a serving. Most people don't want to take 4 capsules, and again, these are the giant yellow ones. These are huge. Like so that I actually do take these occasionally. I don't take them daily. I take like 2
You're
every
supposed
other
to
day.
take 4 at a time.
4 in a day, yeah. And
So you
actually,
can space them out 1 every 6 hours, or you do a handful of
morning.
4. Or,
usually like 2 in the morning, 2 at night.
Okay.
Is like the easiest, just so that you don't have to worry about like trying to set an alarm. Be like, yeah, every 6 hours.
yeah, that's a pain.
Um,
And then I mean, is there, if you look at that, are you going, this is a top-notch one with the degrees of percentages, daily allowance stuff on there? I mean, is there stuff that's filler on there that we should
So-
avoid or?
So yeah, like all of the claims are going to be what's in the supplement. The panel is going to be all the claims. They're required to be listed here. If you're going to make a claim on it, it has to be there. It has to be. You have to show that it's testable at that level. Sometimes they're sneaky and they put subclaims on there that say like at time of manufacture, and then in which case they don't have to have any overage on it. So a year down the road, when it hits its best by date, it could be half gone. Because over time, a lot of vitamins do degrade. There's nothing negative health-wise about it, but they're not as potent. They're
Okay.
at the bottom, there's a list of other ingredients. This would be what like your filler is, and usually what your capsule's made of. So I was wrong. These yellow ones are actually gelatin-based.
Yellow, not green jello, but yellow jello.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I hear that the omega-3s,
Mhm.
there are also some vitamins that they have omega-3, 6, and 9. I have read, I don't know if it's true, that the only important for the body to absorb is omega-3s. If you put the 6 and the 9, then it will be too much, and sometimes the body cannot even absorb them. Is that true?
Let me look that up. So I actually have a couple of
Because
websites.
People say, oh, if we have more omegas, let's put more into the body. But actually, the other 2 will never be absorbed. And so in the long run, it's not needed, it's not necessary, so just stay with the omega-3s, that's all. I don't know if it's that true.
I know my krill oil, which is an omega, it's an omega-3. I don't know if it has the others in there. It's a good question.
That's a lot of ingredients.
It is. It's got some compound in there. That's good.
Well, what I will do with this, is I will take 2 a day only, and the rest should come with the food that you eat.
Yep.
You
So
shouldn't
what-
take 4 unless you.
So
are
when I take
not
these,
eating
I
eggs.
take 2 probably every other day. And that's about how often I take them, because I feel I get most of my nutrition from food.
Yeah.
And so I would agree with that. Again, it's based on your personal preference. I also feel it's a waste of money to go out and buy a bunch of vitamins that you're gonna move through that fast when.
So is a lot of it with, when they give you the suggested serving size, I mean, is it a ploy to get you to burn through them to buy more?
No.
Or is it just,
In order to hit the claims that they're making on this label, that's the number of capsules you have to take to actually hit that per serving.
so I mean, if it says 200 or 300% of your vitamin C you need a day.
Yep.
Where you realistically might only need 100%.
Yep.
Unless you're, in maybe sick season and
Absolutely
you're around
reduce
sick people or whatever, you're up in a, those are some things that you can consider in terms of.
Absolutely.
Did you
Okay.
find anything about the omega-3?
I did not on that website.
Okay.
I do know that, and my wife's better at this, so
All right.
next time we'll let her. I'll ask and I can text you. I do know that the omega fatty acids are one of the ones that are oftentimes not supplemented correctly. Like a lot of people take them, but they don't take either the right amount or the right kind, or they just don't take them at all and they need them. So that I know there's a lot of issues with it. I'm just not personally aware of all the ins and outs for it.
So if we move from kind of like general health and nutrition part of this for say for people that are, wanting to supplement for like cognitive or heart health or things like that, or even joint, anti-inflammatory kind of things, what kind of supplements might they look for on labels and things like that?
So yeah, you have to be careful. Labels are very tricky things. So you're right. I like this little group here because they do make a lot of those claims for that. So that this one, I'm not gonna say the name of it because you guys can find your own, but the claims on here is a powerful breakthrough in immune system science. And like it has the zinc in it, and then it has a blend of like botanicals is what they're claiming for. And I do know that it's much less required if you have botanicals in for there to be like supportive studies to state the claims. Mostly they usually put a statement on there that says these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. And that's just a blanket statement that most companies use. So if you are going to take a supplement for a specific cause, I recommend doing multiple lines of like research for it. So like there's the NIH.gov website is very good at providing just background knowledge on what sort of supplements should be taken for different things. So you mentioned joint health. I know glucosamine is listed on there a lot as something to help repair cartilage and help your joint support. NIH.gov, examine.com. It's not as trusted, like Wikipedia is fine 95% of the time.
Watch out for that 5%.
It's sometimes it gets things a little wrong, but it's great for what it is. I mean, there's the FDA.gov website that also provides a lot of information. Once you do research it, decide if it's good for you, and then you can pursue just those specific products. And that's probably the best case if you're looking for something like that.
So you'd read the label and see what it had in it.
Absolutely. Don't bother with the claims on it. See what's in it.
And can I add to that?
Yes.
So I had some issues with my joints for a long time, and I read about glucosamine sulfate, and I thought it was going to be good for me. So I started taking it without knowing that the sulfate is salt,
Sulfates are
and
rough.
it will be really bad for your blood pressure.
Yep.
So that was what it did to me.
And-
It started elevating my blood pressure, and I realized I had to stop taking this. So see what happens. And
And
actually,
a lot of sulfates will actually interfere with medications. And so
Yeah.
you got to
so yeah.
check that aspect as well. That's why I don't advise people just to go out and start pulling things off shelves like, oh, this is joint support, I need that, and taking it. That can be somewhat risky. There's also like it's strongly suggested that if you're like pregnant or prenatal or breastfeeding, you should also be taking a multivitamin, but it has to be a multivitamin specifically for that group, because there's a lot of things that can cause issues with the baby. You don't want that. And so you want to stop and think about it, please.
So like prenatal for obviously like women in that
Yep.
situation. I mean, I guess if you went to your doctor,
Mhm.
are doctors very knowledgeable with this stuff, or are you better off like?
It's going to be hit and miss with doctors, because like a doctor has to take specific nutrition classes. But I mean, that's to the same level that I had to take specific nutrition classes. I don't know every detail of it. And so unless they're like actively studying on it and actively ready to present it, they're not the all knowledge source. I mean, doctors are good. I trust doctors.
They've got a lot on their plate.
They have a lot on it, but I mean, there's so many aspects to the human body that you have to understand, and expect them to know every detail is just outrageous.
Yeah. So a pharmacist or a nutritionist, would they be better to you go down to Walgreens and you're going down there and go, oh, this looks like a good daily vitamin. You go up to the pharmacist, are they good to consult, or?
A pharmacist would be better because they'll know a lot more of the negative interactions that are likely, especially since they specifically deal with medicines and supplements and things like that. That's much more like a specialized field for it. Nutritionist is another one that it depends what level they're in, because there's nutritionist, there's dietitian, there's a lot of options, and they study different things. And so while I would give completely different advice to somebody who wants to lose weight versus somebody who wants to like get healthier,
Right.
it would vary a little.
Okay.
I do think the pharmacist is probably your safest bet there. If you really don't know and you just want to ask somebody, that's probably your safest choice.
Are there other ingredients like sulfate that you just kind of list that you just should pay
Yeah, that's on
attention
the bad
to?
list,
Yeah,
the naughty list.
the naughty list, at least you should be aware of.
Any of the fat soluble vitamins, the ED, A, K, I'm sure I'm missing at least one. Becky's probably yelling at me right now. Those can build up over time. So taking too much of it's bad. So you want your dosage, and then you don't want to push it too much further past
On
that.
the fat soluble.
On the fat soluble ones, water soluble doesn't matter. You're going to get rid of it. It's almost impossible to
The
overcome.
fat soluble it's gonna stick
Mhm.
around.
Please be careful. Like there's a lot of warnings with things like iron. Specifically, like I do have this one here that is for geriatric patients. The iron serving this is 30 milligrams per tablet. Like this whole bottle will kill people. Don't be careful.
And I also had an issue with that.
Yes, be very careful with how much iron you're taking.
With the iron, I was killing myself. I
Yep.
was poisoning myself.
It'll
Really?
if you're taking too much at once will kill you immediately. Too much over time will
Yep.
start doing things chronically to you, and it's
For
very-
real?
Oh yes.
The problem with the iron is that there is no way for you, let's say if you eat something that is making you bad and making you upset, you do something to make you feel better about it. But with the iron, there is nothing that you can do. You just have to wait for the iron to go out of your system.
Yep, like
Naturally.
if it's an acute
There
one,
is
you
nothing that you
can
can do.
like have your stomach pumped. But if it's been
Oh my
chronically in there, it's in
Exactly.
you and it doesn't come out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was.
So
really
iron,
bad.
you should be careful.
Iron you should be very careful with. Like women generally need more supplementation for iron than men do,
Right.
but the amount's really low. It's like maybe 2 milligrams a day.
But
It's
also
really
with
low.
FDA.
So a medicine that gives you 30 in one tablet's
That's a
really
big deal.
high. Yeah. Like that's also a very important point I want to make. When you have a supplement, where you're storing it, how you're storing it's very important. Please keep things out of reach of children. I strongly recommend against keeping anything in the bathroom because the humidity and the temperature changes are gonna immediately just ruin anything you have in there. Even if it's tightly sealed shut, it's gonna ruin it.
Now say that again.
The humidity
So-
from like a
So if
bathroom.
we keep them over the sink somewhere or
Don't do
something,
that.
don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't use your medicine cabinet for supplements or medicines.
Really?
Or medicine. Don't use it. It should store like razors and soap.
Interesting, and that's because why again?
The humidity will get in and it'll like for tablets and capsules, it'll just melt them and they'll become unusable. Because that's what happens in your body. They get wet and they melt. And like some bottles are better than others. Like this is a specific bottle that's designed to create a barrier for it, and it absorbs a lot of moisture and air out of the bottle. So like anything that gets into it's absorbed really fast out away from the medicine. But like even that over time will become way less effective if he's just because you're showering daily, or there's
Yeah,
multiple
yeah.
people showering daily. And it'll ruin it really fast.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay, so we kind of talked about some of the specific, geriatric or joint health, anything for like brain cognitive supplements or things like that to clear brain, you get brain fog, you can't focus and things like that. I mean, you don't want to take a caffeine pill.
The fatty acid, all the fats from like fish oil are okay. It's variable. Again, a lot of the times you'll notice the biggest health increase when you're actually deficient in something and you're catching up, and that's what the supplement's doing for you. So a lot of people, the first time they start taking the supplement, they feel great because you were deficient, didn't notice it.
Mhm.
And now that you're getting it, your body's like, yes, this is great. I love it.
That's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling.
For the brain, I noticed I was feeling that way in last year, and so I went to the doctor. I asked for a blood test to find out exactly what it was going on with me, and I like that because doctors can help you with that, and then you can find a solution. I am more into the natural medicine than, what is it called, the
Just establishment,
established medicine or whatever.
traditional, yeah.
But I still believe that they are there to help. So they took the test and they found out that I was deficient in vitamin D. Okay, so that's because I work indoors, and so I didn't spend much time outdoors. But anyway, so they gave me a prescription for vitamin D, and I've been taking that since then. I saw a difference between day and night after I started taking the vitamin D with my brain fog and all that, and
Oh, wow.
feeling
That's
tired. So
And like
yeah,
the list is like there are a lot of herbs and botanicals that can really help with that. I know that there's specific like vitamin B3 is niacin or niacinamide. If you're deficient in that, that'll have a negative effect on you. So pull it up. But it's very difficult to make reasonable claims with these because in the case of like a single vitamin, great. You can sometimes show like with a large scale study that yes, there's an increase. But when you're getting really specific, like, is this better for your health? It's really hard to lock like 800 people into a room, feed them all the same food, and then get like half them sick and see if it helps.
Makes sense. Yeah, just referencing that because you can see on the supplement section at the grocery store,
Oh, yeah,
the
they
health
have-
food store, where it's kind of narrowed down into certain categories like, heart health or, gut health or whatever it is, things like that. Now, is there advantage? So like if you were to mix up a powder, like the emergency there, like in a powder form or is liquid, are they any advantage to that, or is it going to be absorbed basically the kind of the same way as tablets and the gel tabs and things?
It's going to kind of fall back on what you're taking, and then also like in case of like what we discussed earlier with Rick, tablets may not fully dissolve all the way, and so if you have it in like a powder form and you're pouring it in, or like a lot of times you can just pour powder straight in your mouth or mix it into water, a drink and drink it. Those are just immediately available, and so it's if you have the ability to break them down and use them right then, it'll take it. But the tablet has to dissolve first. I mean,
So not really an advantage on that.
in cases like the emergency, having a vitamin C tablet probably is not as effective as just mixing into a drink mix or like making a powder. So that realistically, that probably is the most effective way to take
To
that.
get it in quicker and just get your body.
I mean, intravenous is an option, but up to that.
Guys, I got one question. So I'm aware of about a half dozen members of our community that are sick right now. One just called me and he got tested for COVID again, and he said it was positive and respiratory cold stuff. What would you recommend just as a general respiratory COVID like flu that's going around still?
I mean, again, there's nothing that'll like recover you. A supplement is generally good because if you're deficient in things, especially if you're feeling sick from not eating as much,
Okay.
that'll help your cells function to recover and potentially fight off better. there are studies that show like taking the zinc and the vitamin C in tangent can reduce like the duration of a cold by like maybe a day up to 2 days.
Zinc, vitamin C.
It's very blown in person.
When I had COVID, I wish I knew that before, because I was 2 weeks. I was bad. Anyway, and I tried the emergency.
Mhm.
I think is it called?
Yeah, emergency room.
That's one of them.
No,
No.
the
Oh,
Yeah,
emergency, this one.
Yeah.
is it called that?
Mhm.
I tried that one in 2 days. I felt like I was feeling much better. 2 days taking.
I mean,
that,
I still recommend resting and
That-
like
obviously,
making sure you're recovering because you'll feel better, but you're not necessarily recovered yet.
but that is amazing.
The vitamin
They
C
have
emergency, yeah.
comment that it also has other things in there, potassium and a lot of the things that the body will need. So I totally recommend that.
And on a side
I
note,
said that
one of the
yesterday.
things I do recommend that we haven't brought up yet, that I mean, I'm probably more prejudiced because of my background, is probiotics. Please take probiotics.
What is a
Yeah,
probiotic?
explain that.
A probiotic is it's a generally bacteria. There can be other microbes in the group, but it's a microbe that does a beneficial act when it's inside of you. So usually you take it, it survives past your stomach, usually in like a bit of a stronger capsule, survives the stomach, survives the GI tract, and ends up in your colon. And while it's in your colon, it'll do different things. So it'll help either digest different foods better, depending on what strains you have, or there's a lot of possibility with it.
Really?
But a lot of research has come out in the last 20 years that's really strong standing and has a lot of like repeatable effects. So it's fairly trustworthy since it's repeatable. That show that a lot of most anything that happens in your gut affects the rest of your body just immensely. And so like finding like a good strain, or not a strain, but usually like a diverse set of strains,
They
like
eat
supplementing.
live bugs?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, goodness.
Do it. Just like try to limit, like you either need one that's going to be like what's called a spore former. It's going to survive through your gut really effectively. And you can take those and
Spore four?
spore former.
Spore
So
four.
like Bacillus coagulans, Bacillus subtilis. Yeah.
Yeah, probiotics, you can find them in the refrigerator aisle.
But
They
like
have to keep
you don't have to
refrigerated.
take them refrigerated. It's like I actually have this one right here that I made. That's it has 30 billion colony forming units. That's
And there's
the
live
ones-
bugs in that thing?
I mean
or
they're freeze dried.
They're freeze dried?
Yeah, they're spray dried. Yeah.
So that when they go inside there,
So they won't grow right now. There's no water. They can't grow right now. But if I was to put this into a solution and like give it into like a broth solution that needs to grow, it would grow into the bacteria.
Wow.
Weird.
Oh, it's really effective. though.
Probiotics.
Way good.
What do you get? Is that the culture kind of stuff that you get from yogurt too? I mean, so yogurt got some of that in there too.
Yogurt has it too. Yogurt is way more dilute, but they do have, so if you're eating like a yogurt today, you're fine. If you're ever on antibiotics, which is something that kills microbes, you should always be supplementing with probiotics so that your gut flora doesn't get wiped out, because that'll severely change how you're digesting things, how your health is going.
you say when you have diarrhea.
Yeah.
The best thing is
Oh yeah.
Probiotic?
Oh yeah. Pump some probiotics in
probiotics
you.
or yogurt,
Feel better in like 2 days.
right?
Heck, yeah.
We start taking.
Yeah, new man after
bugs.
this
Now, like,
conversation.
I'm gonna specify, you don't need to continually take probiotics. Once you get them in your gut and they're in there and they're solid and they have like the spot they like, and your diet supports it, they're gonna stay there. So I mean, you like 2 bottles worth of like 30 days and then another 30 days, it's probably not changing.
This is fun stuff.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
fun.
this is we covered a lot of material tonight.
I do think in terms of emergency preparedness, I'm gonna say probiotics don't last past their shelf life because they are alive, that they are living. Once they die, they're gone. They do nothing for you. Vitamins and minerals, on the other hand, minerals don't degrade. Minerals are fine. Vitamins degrade slowly over time, but that doesn't hurt you. You can still take expired vitamins and be totally fine. And just because it like has a 2-year shelf life doesn't mean, it just means that it's probably either hitting the claims or just below them at 2 years. So you can take those to like 4 years plus and still have a benefit from them.
So a great maybe food storage thing would be to get some of these, put in there with your wheat and different things like that. So that if you have to go on some kind of a store shut down or something like that, we get a big storm, power's out for a week or something and or whatever, and you're eating, rice.
I mean,
It might be good to have some of this to keep you.
because if you consider most people's food storage, I mean, you don't have the diversity that you normally would have. And so it's good to have something there until you can get back to the diversity of eating normal, healthy diet.
Would you recommend to put the vitamins and seal them? Like, would you do with it?
I mean,
Keep the,
this is a sealed, or it was a sealed container until I opened it. And so that's totally great. And this will keep in like a cool space
okay.
for years. I think actually our shelf life is 2 years because we do test it for that.
But to last longer than that,
Mhm.
that's what I was saying.
I mean, I wouldn't take them out of the container because it's gonna be really hard to find one better. Yeah.
They've got probably an oxygen absorber in there.
There should be a desiccant in there that should
Okay.
absorb moisture and oxygen. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so some of them are actually, when they're on the packaging line, they have like a nitrogen flush, which takes the oxygen out, so it's much less likely to decompose.
Oh,
It's fun.
so all that kind of fun stuff to
Oh, yeah.
give
So
it a
some
good shelf
some
life.
have that, yeah. Like what they use for the potato chips to keep those fresh in the bag.
Is there
What-
any website that would you recommend and that is more safe to buy vitamins? That they are not filled with so many,
Mhm.
most of the vitamins in a lot of places, they have a lot of fillers.
Mhm.
So.
Um,
is anyone that would
realistically,
recommend?
when it comes to that, it's gonna vary from person to person. I don't want to advertise for people.
Okay,
So I'll talk to you after. This one's actually pretty decent.
okay.
I actually would say that I don't actually trust like Whole Foods to stock good ones. There are going to be some good ones there, but for the most part, they have a specific criteria they're going to meet, and like trying to hit specific claims like all organic or natural or stuff is really hard, and it can actually negatively affect what you're getting. Like those could be really good, but at the same time, it's really difficult to hit. And so it's a juggling act.
I know some people, during COVID, when it was going on, they would have home health come, and if they had been ill for a few days, would do like the high dose vitamin C IVs and things like that. Are you familiar with that, or you feel comfortable talking about that kind of stuff, or is that?
But I mean, vitamin C is one of the few ones that you can take intravenously. If you don't have a professional there, it can be bad because it's real. Injecting yourself with things is not advised.
True.
It is something you can do. I do know people that have done it. Like I know you can go into a lot of clinics and get other vitamins intravenously put into you. They do a lot of different vitamin Bs. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I know things like B12, the cobalamins, either cyano or erythrocobalamin. Not erythro. I'll come back to that. It is erythro. Those are things that can do it, but at the same time, those are also associated with like giving you a quick burst of energy. And I understand that common like side effects to that is like a burning sensation because you have a lot of something going into you suddenly. And I've never done it, and I do not feel the need to do it. But if you wish to, I mean, do it with the proper medical guidance.
There you go. And again, like these aren't really FDA regulated.
They aren't?
I believe basically kind of you can't make claims saying, this will cure cancer or this will cure COVID.
So you can make claims, but you have to have a lot of evidence to show it, and it's really hard to get the FDA to approve it. So there's very, very few claims that are
But
allowed.
they'll say this is good for treating symptoms of diarrhea.
If you see things like that, they can make claims like help support this.
Joint health.
Yeah, like that, they can make that claim because there's a lot of medicines that can show that. And so those claims are really common, and that's fine. But a lot of claims, they'll have that little asterisk next to it that says this hasn't been approved by the FDA. Be cautious on those. Anything that looks too good to be true is too good to be true. It's not going to do what it says.
That's good. That's good. Good to point that out. Do we have any questions from the group out there that's online?
Raise your hand if you have a question, those guys listening. If not, we're gonna look like we're gonna closed down.
Because I think we've tapped Dan now. He's downloaded a lot of information for us tonight.
Wow,
It's been
yeah.
It's been a great visit here.
I'd
We have to
love
do this
discussing
again
it.
sometime
We
too.
should.
And
Next pandemic,
yeah,
it's already here.
yeah, before the next variant comes out, we have to do a refresher on the immune ones possibly. I think it's good information to get out to be able to share with others during this time, just to be able to make our bodies strong. I mean, obviously exercise, diet, those things we've been taught for years and years to help us along our way. You know, those are invaluable. If you don't have your health, you
Absolutely.
don't have anything. And so it's important to take care of our bodies, our temple, as we often say. So, well, thanks for stopping by tonight.
No, thank you.
I think the Emergency Preparedness Committee it's happy to be able to prepare and get information out to the ward and community to help them and give as much information as we can for people to be able to use.
Awesome.
All right, we'll sign
Signing
off
off.
then.
Thanks for having me.